Assalamu alaikum everybody, this is Talha here. I wanted to record this video about the nodeMcu, this type of boards, Lulin or any other nodeMcu ESP8266 development board. People who are having trouble in running code on it. So what I did, I wanted to create something with which I can control a remote car, let's say. So I created this small HTML code. What this code does is it sends out the commands to an ESP8266 nodeMcu development board. Development board listens to this request and then responds to it accordingly. So the way this happens is that this is a frequency by which the request will be sent. Here at a frequency of 1000 milliseconds, which is equals to 1 second. This is the IP address. Here you can enter the IP address of your board. These are the steering values. It ranges from, this is for the forward. It can be gear 1, first gear, second gear for going forward, and then there will be first gear and second gear for moving backward. Same goes for steering. And at the bottom there is this frame. So in this frame the source is right now get string, a get string like HTTP this, and then it will add the values, like for example action equals to drive, steer equals to whatever the value of the steer is, and then let's say for example 0, and what is that? Acceleration, right? Acceleration equals to 1, whatever it is, right? So whatever you select here, whatever you select from here, it's gonna basically use this IP address, convert into that, and define it as a source of this frame. Once it does that, what will happen after every 1000 milliseconds, request will go to the nodeMcu board, and the board will respond back. I've seen a lot of guys creating code that is basically that sits on the whole interface code sitting on the nodeMcu itself, on the development board itself. I think that's not a smart way. We should create a code here in an HTML file on your computer or anywhere else. In fact, if it's just using a pure HTML, you can host it on your website as well, like this one I have on my website. And it works really well. So how does it work? Let me just walk you through. I am using this Lua uploader version 1.0.2.4 by Hari Vugana or Hari Vugana. I don't know how to say his name. Pretty simple tool. It has an immediate window in which you can write a code and then see the results here. This is an output window. For example, and there are two ways in which you can upload your code. One is, let me show you, one file code, only one init.lua file. If I open it in, there you go, you see, right? All the global variables defined. Then I define the HTML strings. This is the way you can write multi-line strings. So I created a header string, header HTML response. Now this response that is coming back, these strings, this is what you see here in this frame. Alright. Rest is pretty simple. Couple of functions. Connect to Wi-Fi. These are the functions I have. This is the main code. What it checks is, first of all, it checks if I have an IP address value. If I don't have an IP address value, it asks to connect to Wi-Fi. Now the connect to Wi-Fi function, in this function I have asked it to attempt for a number of times. Don't try to keep on attempting for the whole day. Just try to give attempt. What is the attempt value I have given? 5 attempts allowed. So it tries to, if the IP address is nil, it tries to, if the IP address is not equal to nil and it is some IP address, then it says, okay, I'm connected now. Now set up a web server. If not, then after a delay, this is how you create delay in Lua. in Lua nodeMcu. This is how you create a delay. After 3 seconds, attempt again until the number of allowed attempts are reached. Okay, so set up web server. In setup web server, you basically set up the web server, and the code are available online. One thing you need to do is get this function, get parameters. What it does is that then the request that you receive will be a string, character strings. So it goes through that character strings and pulls out all the parameters that have been sent, all the get parameters, right? For example, I'm sending these 3 parameters. So it assigns this to this. pcall, this is an interesting thing I wanted to tell you guys about. This basically is like a try catch, alright? So if pcall is successful, which means if there is no exception, right, then do this. If there are exceptions, then do something else. If you don't do that, if there is an exception, Lua may start behaving strange on this development board, and it may crash and start itself again. So just catch it, don't do anything with it. Whether there is an exception or not, just treat it the same way. Since this was, so here I was getting few exceptions, so you can pretty much write the same code that you have here over here. It will not matter. But this was working for me. So what I did, I had 3 bits of code. That was header HTML, content HTML, and footer HTML. There was a default content HTML, but if a request is received, process the values that you receive and show them on the page. So basically here the content HTML changes if we receive a response. So here I can pretty much, this is where you can do all the action, like actually control the motors, right? Do all the action to control the motors based on value received from user. All right, like the user send to steer to right, left. So you can create a function, you can call a function here that takes care of that. I don't have a remote control car, as I was just trying to figure out how to do different things on this board. So this is how you can do it. And then at the end, just combine these 3 and send it back to the user. So this is pretty much the code is. You can do this. This is one file. Everything is in one file. You can do it in 3 files as well. So this is my 1 file code, and this is my 3 file code, split files code. In that there is a function file. There is a regular init file. What this init file says, first of all, do the HTML Lua, and in the HTML Lua file, I've defined this HTML strings. Then it says, okay, now fetch the functions, do file functions.lua. In the functions, I have all the functions, and then here I start the code and say connect to Wi-Fi. It runs the connect to Wi-Fi, which then later, if when successful, it runs the setup web server code, things like that. So I hope you guys found it useful, and I'm using Lua Uploader for that, as I mentioned. And I have right now, if I list my files, I'm using 3 files, right? Functions in it and HTML Lua. So I'm using split file code right now. You can use the 1 file code as well. By default, the value here will be 200 milliseconds, which means when you will say to, like, you can load a file from, so let me show you guys a simple, I think I should not show you guys, know how to do it, right? But let me show it anyways. All right, so I clear, for example, I want to upload to it 1 file code, all right, not 3 file. So I see here that there are 3 files here, right? Functions.lua, init.lua, and html.lua. Right now the file name is init.lua, so I said delete, so it deletes the init.lua. Then I say functions.lua, delete, it deletes the functions.lua, and the last one is html.lua. So all 3 files deleted now. If I click on list files, nothing is shown here, blank, right? I clear it. Now I load from, instead of loading the split files, let me just go and run the one file code. Right, so I select that, all the code comes here. Now I can save to ESP. It will start writing it line by line. See, it's writing it line by line. It will take some time. You have to be patient because it's serial communication, I believe, although I'm using a USB, but because the whole thing on the board is serial communication. So alright, it's writing, maybe not the board, it's the interface of this software, but whatever, it takes some time, but it works. So after you upload that, once it is done with uploading, you can I press clear because I want clean, and then I try to see if it is, yeah, it's successfully uploaded. Alright, then I can say run, and it will run, and whatever is mentioned here, not here, whatever name is mentioned here. Click on run, and it ran, and it says, okay, your IP address is this, and this is that. The reason why it's showing this, because I mentioned it in the code that whenever it connects, see, there you go, it should show me what is my IP address. Alright guys, so this is how you can do it. I hope this was useful. Once again, the p call thing in it to catch exception, that is useful, and the code for get parameters, I'll try to put it on in the description so that guys can use it. So that's pretty much it, guys. I hope that was useful. Thank you very much.